Welcome to an all-new episode of Looks and Wisdom Sundays with me, Aluchi. Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Looks and Wisdom Sundays with me, Aluchi, aka the elusive pundit. Honey, how are you feeling? First of all, I just want to say I am very excited. My makeup artist is back, obviously, so the looks are getting better. The lighting is better. Hopefully, we can get the sound to improve as well, but we are taking it one step at a time. There's no need to rush. Otherwise, this week we will be talking about power dynamics in relationships. As everybody knows, February is the month of love, so I wouldn't want to miss that. So instead of just going the traditional route about talking about, I know what people would talk about, I decided to focus on a topic that is hardly spoken about, and which is the power dynamics in relationships. The reason why I am doing power dynamics in relationships is because I have realized that in life there is hierarchy. And I mean, the first time that you get to understand hierarchy is when you are a child and you have parents. The power dynamics are very different between a child and a parent, and then later on you get exposed to different power dynamics when you go to crash and there are popular kids and you're not the popular one, and then there's a teacher's pet. High school or primary school, and there's a grading system there that puts people in hierarchy. And then you get to varsity, and then you get to the work environment. You have an intern that has a manager, that has a manager, that has a manager, that has a manager, that reports to senior management, that reports to the CEO, that reports to the board. So basically in life, there is hierarchy, whichever way you look at it, whether you like it or not. There are power dynamics in relationships, and which is why I wanted to speak about that. So this week we will be speaking about power dynamics in relationships pertaining to hypergamy, which is dating up. Before I go any further, let's get to the dictionary's definition of what hypergamy is. So hypergamy is a term referred to in social science as the act of dating or marrying someone who has a higher social standing than you do. Before we go any further, because I know this is going to come up a lot, I am a female, so obviously this is going to be discussed from a female's perspective. I would like the guys to give us their feedback and their opinions on hypergamy, but because I'm female, we will be looking at it from a female's perspective. And also, I will be bringing in a lot of celebrity examples. The core celebrities that I will bring in this segment as examples to sort of like bring the point home is Mbali Mlotshwa, who was married to DJ Black Coffee, and Mohale Mudawung, who was married to Samizi. The pros of dating or marrying up. The first pro is the financial status. The second one is the socio-economic benefit. The third one is affiliation, and the fourth one is class. Like I said, I will be making examples with the aforementioned individuals, which is Mbali and Mohale. So basically, when you are marrying and dating up, you get to increase your financial capabilities in life. You get to increase your socio-economic benefit as well as your affiliation and class. With the two examples that I have chosen to use for this segment, the first one is Mohale. So Mohale was a varsity student that got into a relationship with Samizi, and Samizi is a very influential entertainer in South Africa. The first time I was introduced to Samizi was obviously on the Sarafina movie that each and every South Africans would have probably watched a million times by now. And then Mbali met DJ Black Coffee when she was a budding actress on the come up in the South African entertainment scene, and Black Coffee was on the road to being Black Coffee, the Grootman of the country as we know him. So they got into the relationship, and obviously because they were in relationships with people who were affluential, that substantially increased their materialistic benefit in the relationship. Bali was flying everywhere with a private jet. Mohale, I don't know what happened with his education, but he became a social influencer and a presenter and a radio host and a whole host of other things. And he was upgraded by the relationship, obviously, because he was coming from a lower socioeconomic status. So mainly the benefit of dating someone who is influential is the fact that you will have access to money and access to class and to a better life. And obviously with some pros, there's always some cons. And with regards to the cons, one of the biggest cons in a hypergamous relationship is control. And then the second one is unbalanced power. The third one is abuse, and I will also speak about the fact that physical appearance is something that is very much revered in these relationships, as well as youth. So the first one, control, and this is all allegedly, because obviously this is what we are finding out on the news, on the blogs, and on social media. So I will make an example with Mbali's situation pertaining to control. So Black Coffee had the upper hand, and we found out about the dynamics of their relationship when they were actually divorcing, and we saw the power dynamics played out in social media. And we did find out that the queen, Mbali, was not allowed to have physical access to money, allegedly physical money, and that she was dealing with some form of abuse. With Mohale, allegedly, Somizi also wanted to control him in terms of telling him who he needed to hang with, who his friends were, the type of jobs that he was allowed to take, and also just sexual exploitation. The second thing, unbalanced power dynamic. Whoever has the funds has the upper hand, and whoever's got the funds has all the connections, which is exactly what happened to Mohale. When the relationship soured initially, some Gaga, according to the blogs, did try to stop his bag in terms of stopping him from getting certain jobs in the industry where he could control, all allegedly, and abuse. In both circumstances, we did allegedly find out that there was some form of abuse. Bali, on her birthday, when DJ Black Coffee allegedly went there and slapped her on the wrist, and then Mohale, when he went to Samizi's house, was trying to get his car, long story, but then there was like a scuffle that led to him crashing into his car. Abuse is one of those factors that usually are cons in terms of dating higher up in the social ladder. One of the other things that are very important to understand in a hypergamous relationship is that usually physical appearance is revered. People who have power usually date someone who is substantially younger than them and substantially physically appealing. And I mean, with the age gap between Bali and Black Coffee, it's easy to tell, and more so with the age gap between Somizi and Mohale. And then as soon as those things fade away, more oftentimes than not, then the man or whoever's got the funds will replace that person with a new younger version of themselves. And we've seen the same thing with Leroy and Marianne and Norma and Malusi Gigaba and Bongeni Ngema and Leleti Kumalo. I can make so many examples about that, but usually we're talking about the usuality of it all. There are some exceptions, but usually. Another thing that happens in hypergamous relationships is the men are not trying to go toe to toe in terms of power in the relationships. And we do see this with some of the people that actually started out with their partners who eventually grew into people of substance and high socio-economic capital power. And this happens in high level relationships as well. This is largely because people want to practice their power dynamics and their controls and their level of hierarchy with other people, and unfortunately it usually starts with whoever they partner up with. And if it looks like there is some form of equality, sort of, not usually, but it looks like the other partner is catching up, they usually are very quick to divorce, very quick to replace, very quick to cheat. And this is exactly what we see with people like Jeff Bezos, who his wife was part and parcel of building Amazon, and Bill Gates, who went and left his wife for his mistress. And I can go on and on and on about how these men, usually when they're coming up, their women come up with them as well, but then eventually they want to be in more controlling situations, and then they will leave the wife who's catching up. The examples that I gave were from people who are in marriage, in hypergamous marriages, but I did want to sort of like give the same thing when it comes to dating. And we see this with the baddies, the Instagram baddies and the slay queens, or whatever you want to call them. And they usually date men of substance. I don't want to mention people, but Stella dating into the Bisane family, who was substantially wealthier than her family, and Gefi Mabote, who is very famous for dating upper echelon men. And there's a guy named Keith now. He is a queer guy who is currently trending because his sugar daddy left him. And Sarah Langa as well. She was at some point married to a billionaire guy. I can make so many examples, but you do get the gist. And those people actively are on the lookout for men of substance. What is important to know and understand is that a lot of people that do survive hypergamous relationship, that have the cons and the pros, are usually very much self-aware and know why they are in that relationship, and therefore they have some form of self-control and some control into the trajectory of where they're going. An example of this is Kim Kardashian. I think the Kardashians are very much hypergamous, but they very much play the game into what the end goal is for them when they are dating up. I said a lot today, but hypergamous relationships are about dating up financially, materialistically, socioeconomically. It is usually masculine energy that has the class and the status. In summary, we need to understand that there are power dynamics in relationships, and this week we only spoke about hypergamy, which is dating up in the social ladders, and we spoke about the pros and cons and how to protect yourself when you are in a relationship. And that's it. I hope to see you guys next week, and I really hope that you did like this episode. And yeah, happy February, happy month of love, happy. Okay, bye.